Hi all. So welcome back to another video lecture of economics. In today's lecture, we are going to study everything related to demand. Alright, as you all know that demand is the consumer side. It is done by the households. Okay, we demand, we the consumers demand. On the other hand, there is another term that is supply. Supply is the producer side, it is the side of the businesses. So in today's chapter, we are going to learn about demand. This particular chapter is there in your HSC textbook as chapter number 3. Alright, so if you have this book with you, the 12th standard board book, HSC textbook, you will find chapter number 3, which is related to demand. Now before we start with the chapter, just a gist of the entire chapter, just the basic idea for you to understand. The chapter basically is divided into two parts. If you look at your textbook or if you look at the index itself, you will find chapter number 3A and chapter number 3B. Now these are the two parts, these are the two sections in which this chapter, the entire demand thing, is divided in. What is the difference between these two chapters? Very simple. In chapter number 3A, that is demand analysis, you are going to study all the basics of demand. Like for example, how is demand generated, what are the things, what are the criteria required for a simple wish, a desire to become a demand. Then you're going to learn the definition, of course, of demand. Then further you are going to learn types of demand, the different concepts of demand, like for example individual demand and the market demand. After that you are going to learn the law of demand and how the law is applied, by whom it was given, and so on. In chapter number 3B, you are going to learn demand in a deeper way, in something that is more practical, something that is more technical, something that will require your focus, and you will have to learn diagrams in 3B. Alright, so what is the basic difference between the two? In chapter number 3A, they have tried to explain to you that as and when the price changes, as and when the price of a commodity changes, its demand will automatically change. Okay, it is also a human psychology. If anything becomes expensive, we will demand it less. All right, and if something becomes cheap, we demand it more. It is a human psychology. So that's it. This thing they are going to explain it to you. It is the law of demand, which explains to you that when the price rises, automatically the quantity demanded falls, and when the price falls, automatically the quantity demanded rises. Okay, so this you're going to learn in chapter 3A. What about chapter 3B? Chapter 3B is a bit more detailed chapter. In this chapter, they will tell you, they will answer one question: how much? How much change in the price will bring about how much change in the quantity demanded. So how much, for example, if there is a difference of 10 rupees, the original price was, like for example, 50 rupees, the change in price, the new price became 60 rupees. So that 10 rupees change in the price, what effect that 10 rupee change had on the quantity demanded, that they are going to explain you in chapter number B. The question how much change in the price has brought about how much change in the quantity demanded. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the two chapters. In first, you're going to learn the simple thing that price brings change in the demand, and in the next chapter 3B, you're going to learn how much change will bring about how much change in the quantity demanded. Okay, so let's begin. To begin with, if you are following the textbook that I have, that is the HSC board textbook, you have this chapter number 3A on page number 17. Also, I have forwarded to you the PDF on your WhatsApp group, so you can follow that also. But the page number would be around 26 or 27. Chapter number 3A begins on page number 27 in your PDF file. Alright, so to begin with, chapter number 3A, demand analysis. All of you have studied in your past a word that is known as utility. Okay, I hope you are aware of the word utility. Okay, now what is the meaning of this word? In your previous chapter, same textbook, chapter number 2, you studied about utility, but just in simple words, let me explain you the meaning of this word. Utility. What is utility? The amount of satisfaction that you get after consuming one commodity, that is known as utility. Whatever need, whatever desire that you have, okay, after fulfilling that desire, the amount of satisfaction that you get, that satisfaction in terms of economics is known as utility. Very simple. The satisfaction that you derived after fulfilling your wish, after fulfilling your desire, that is known as utility. A simple example: I'm very thirsty, I've been starving, I've been fasting since morning, and I'm very thirsty. The moment I get a glass of water, the first glass of water, that one glass of water will quench my thirst, it will satisfy my thirst. So that satisfaction in terms of economics is known as utility. Alright, so economics says that utility is the base for demand. How is it the base for demand? Utility is the base of demand because if a commodity is giving you utility, if a commodity is giving you satisfaction, only then you are going to demand that particular commodity. Otherwise, if it is not giving you any satisfaction, if it is not giving you any utility, if it is not useful for you, you will not demand it. Or even if you purchase it, it will be a waste for you, it will be useless for you. So the first step for a demand to occur, for the basis of demand is that you should be having you should be deriving utility out of that particular commodity. For example, if I'm not thirsty or if I'm not hungry, that amount of food or that amount of water is not going to be useful for me. It is not going to give me any amount of utility. Or if I'm very full, I'm not starving, I'm very full, I just had my dinner, and after that if I consume something, it will give me not satisfaction, instead it will give me dissatisfaction. So I am going to demand only those things which are giving me utility, which are going to satisfy some kind of want, some kind of desire, some kind of wish. That is why it is said that utility is the basis for demand. Okay, only if something is giving you satisfaction, you are going to demand that particular thing. Okay, further, now if I ask any lay person who is not the economics student, who is not learning economics, if I ask that person, what do you mean by demand? He will simply tell me my wishes, my desires, the things that I want, these are my demands. But when you ask an economics expert, they will give you another answer. There are certain criteria required for a simple wish, a simple desire to become a demand. Now, what are those criteria? It is basically a formula for demand. Alright, it is written on the board here. Okay, I have written it here. Demand equals desire, that is your wish, the want that you want to satisfy, plus willingness to buy, plus ability to pay. Now what is this? What is willingness to buy and what is ability to pay? For a simple wish, for a simple desire to become a demand, there are these three criteria which are required. The first one is a mere wish or a desire. For example, I wish to buy a new car. This is just a desire, this is just a wish. When will it become demand? When I have the ability to pay for it. What do you mean by the ability to pay? Ability to pay means your purchasing power, means you should have the money to buy it. Okay, if you have a wish, then you have the ability to pay, you have the money to buy. The third thing that is required is the willingness to buy. You should have a big heart to spend the money that you have on the certain desire of yours. So even if you have money, Okay, you have the ability to pay, you have the desire, but you don't have the willingness, you don't have the heart to spend, then this desire will never become a demand until and unless you don't have ability to pay, that is your purchasing power or the money that you have, and willingness to buy. It should be coming from inside you. Like for example, if there is a miser person, okay, someone who is a real miser, if he has the desire to buy a car, even if he has the money to buy the car, but if he does not wishes to spend, if he is not willing to spend that money, then his desire will just remain a desire, it will not become a demand. So for a desire to become a demand, you need the desire plus your ability and your willingness to pay. So this is the simple formula for demand. This question can be asked to you as a define. Okay, when they are asking you define demand, usually comes for 2 marks. Define demand. So you are going to mention the definition that we are going to do, but before you mention the definition, you are first going to write the 3 criteria that are required for a simple wish, for a simple desire, for a simple want to become a demand. All right, so this is there on page number 17. You can further read it, and it is quite self-explanatory. All right, so we move further with the definition of demand, a very simple definition given by Benham. Okay, Benham, a very famous name in economics. You can Google him and find him right there. So according to Benham, what does Benham say about demand? According to him, what is demand? In simple terms, if I explain you, demand is nothing but one particular product at one particular time, at one particular price, how much it is sold, that is demand. Alright, 3 things: one particular product at one particular time and one particular price. Okay, when, how much of the quantities are sold at one particular price at one particular time, that is demand. Like for example, in this COVID times, okay, all of us need to wear a face mask, all of us need to have the kit with us, the gloves, the face mask to protect ourselves from the virus. So here, at this particular time, at the COVID time, in the times of need, what is the price of these things? What is the price of the mask? What is the price of your kit? What is the price of your medical gloves? Okay, at this particular time, this particular commodities are at this particular price, and how much they are sold at this price, that is the demand for that particular commodity. So you see, there are 3 things here: this particular commodity at this particular time and at this particular price, how much it is sold. Now times change. If the situation hopefully gets better, we all might skip our mask, we won't need them much. So at that particular time, the prices of the mask will fall. Or let us for example take our past. In the past, the masks weren't so expensive because they weren't in need so much. So at one particular time, that particular thing is demanded, and at what price it is sold, that is known as demand as per Benham. Alright, I hope you have understood the definition of demand. It is usually asked for 2 marks, as I said. So for 2 marks, you're going to mention the formula first and then this definition by Benham. Now, there are 2 concepts, the 2 important concepts of demand. Okay, one is the individual demand and another one is the market demand. Now, what is individual demand and what is market demand? The words itself are explanatory. You can just read and you can make out. Individual demand is the demand of one particular person. As we studied in microeconomics, when we were doing microeconomics, we studied the feature of microeconomics, saying that it is analyzing only the demand, the supply of one person one person at a time, one individual at a time. So that's it. Individual demand is nothing but the demand of one particular person, one particular individual. Okay, what about market demand? Just the opposite. Market demand is the demand for all the consumers who are buying from that particular market. There may be one consumer, okay, there may be 10 consumers, there may be lakhs of consumers, depends upon the population of that particular area. So individual demand is one person's demand. Market demand is its opposite. It is the demand of the entire people demanding in that particular area or in that particular locality. Now, there is another important thing which is given to you, the individual demand schedule. Okay, I have made it here on the board. I made it beforehand just to save time. This is the individual demand schedule. Now, what is individual demand schedule? It is just a table. Okay, schedule is just a table which is divided into two columns. One column explains you or shows to you the price of a particular commodity, and the other column says at this price what is the quantity that is demanded. Okay, very simple. You, with the help of this demand schedule, you are going to make a demand curve. Okay, now all of you are aware certain precautions that we take while making the demand curve, or for that matter any diagram that we are making in economics. Certain precautions we take, like for example, we are going to label the diagram, we are going to label the x-axis and the y-axis, we are going to use a sharpened pencil, ruler, a scale. All these things are important from the marks point of view. All right, so let us plot this particular individual demand schedule in our curve. All right, so let us begin. The first step that we have to follow while making a curve, okay, is the step where you are going to label the diagram. So the name of my diagram is, if this is individual demand schedule, the name of my diagram is going to be individual demand curve. All right. Okay, this is my the name, the label of my diagram. Alright, the first step that you're going to do is you're going to make the x-axis and the y-axis. This is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. I'm sure all of you have done this before also. We have done it in economics, and before us you have done it in your algebra and geometry classes in school. So here the beginning point is always 0 because it is the point of origin. Now you, on this axis, on this particular y-axis, you're going to plot the price. So you are going to write your price. This price you are plotting in terms of Indian rupees. Alright, so the symbol for Indian rupees. On this particular axis, on x-axis, you're going to plot the quantity that is demanded. This column, quantity DD. QDD is just the abbreviation for quantity demanded. Now, once you read this schedule, you are going to make out that the price is going up to rupees 10. Alright, so beginning from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Beginning from 0, quantity demanded 1, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, 5 units. The product could be anything, say for example, say an apple or a mango, anything. So let us plot this particular schedule on our curve. When the price was rupees 10, it is considered as expensive, costly, and that is why the quantity which was demanded was only 1 unit. Alright, so in the line of 10 here, in the line of 10 and in the line of 1, you are going to put a dot. and then with the help of the dot you're going to join this. Alright, so this point. Next, when the price fell, the price is falling down. From 10 it became 8 rupees. Now when the price fell, the natural tendency according to the law of demand given by Professor Alfred Marshall, as and when the price falls, the quantity demanded rises, it increases. So from 1 it has increased to 2 here. Alright, quantity demanded 2 units. So when the price fell in the line of 8 and in the line of 2, you're going to plot a point. And with the help of the dot, we're going to join these two. Lines. Alright, next, the price further fell and the demand further rose. It's rising. So here in the line of 6 and in the line of 3, you're going to plot a point and join it. Alright, again the price is falling further. It is becoming, the product is becoming cheaper. The reasons could be many. Why the product is becoming cheaper, the reasons could be the season of that particular product or excessive supply of that particular product. Reasons could be anything, but the point is the price is falling. Now in the line of 4, because the price fell, quantity also rose. So here in the line of 4 and here in the line of 4, we're going to plot a point and then join it. Alright, then finally the product became so cheap, it is just 2 rupees. Alright, initially in 10 you were just getting 1, now in 10 you're getting 5. So here when the price fell, many people are going crazy about it and many people are going to buy it. So automatically the quantity demanded has risen. So when the price further fell to the extreme level, that is just 2 rupees, the quantity increased, it shot up. Alright, and it is 5 units. So in the line of 2 and in the line of 5, you will again make a dot and join it. Now these dots that you have made with a nice sharpened pencil and a scale, you are going to join these dots. Alright, and you're going to label it as DD. DD is my demand curve. Alright, and this demand curve is sloping downwards. Why it is sloping downwards? Because the quantity is increasing, but on the other hand the price is constantly falling. So when the price falls, the quantity increases, and that is why my DD curve, my demand curve, is a downward sloping curve. Alright, so I hope you are following this. Simple, you just have to read the table, you just have to read the schedule, and you have to plot it in the diagram. Just precautions that you are supposed to take is the distance. Alright, the distance between these numbers and the distance between these numbers should be equal. When you are doing it in exam, no graph paper is usually provided. When I'm talking about the HSC board exams, graph paper is not provided to you for, up till now it wasn't provided to you for your board exam. So you are going to do it in your normal answer sheet, the lined one, the ruled one. So for that you have to be careful and you have to take the distance, the one line, the 1 centimeter distance that we already have. So if you take these distances as equal, your diagram will turn out to be neat and clean. Alright, so this was the individual demand schedule and this is the individual demand curve. Now there is one more thing that is given to you, as we already discussed, market demand schedule and market demand curve. Now I explained you before, market demand is the demand of all the individuals. So there will be the change in this particular diagram. What they will do is they will increase the demand by increasing the consumers. As I told you, here there is only one individual demand is kept in mind, but in the market demand schedule they might give you consumer A, consumer B and consumer C. or consumer 4. In the textbook they have assumed that there are only 3 consumers in the entire market. Economics is completely based on assumptions. So even if you find that assumption to be wrong, even if you find, of course we all find it wrong in our day-to-day life, in the present scenario we don't have any market which has only 3 consumers. But because economics is based on assumptions, they have given to you in the textbook that in a market there are only 3 consumers, A, B and C. At this particular price, A is demanding something, B is demanding something, C is demanding something. So when you plus A, B and C, the answer that you get is simply the market demand. So what is market demand? The addition, the sum of all the individual demands. So it is as simple as that. Also there will be a slight change. The demand curve will remain as it is, because the demand will, in a market demand also, the demand is going to fall. Why? Because the rule is the same, as in when the price increases the demand falls. So even if it is a market demand, the diagram is going to remain the same. The curve is going to go downwards, it is going to slope downwards. The only difference will be in the quantity. Here we have taken 1 2 3 4 5. We have taken small numbers because individual demand is always smaller than the market demand. So in the market demand schedule you may get numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and so on. So that's the only difference. Market demand is bigger concept, it is a wider concept, it is a broader concept, and individual demand is a narrower concept, it is a smaller concept. Why? Common sense. Individual demand is only one person's demand, market demand is the entire market's demand. Alright, so we've completed so far. The next that is given to you in the textbook, and a very important question which can be asked for either 4 marks. They might ask you, the question is on page number 19, it is given to you, what are the different types of demand? Okay, so there are 5 types of demand. Now they can ask you a simple one particular type, they can ask you for 2 marks. Alright, they might say define direct demand, or they might say define indirect demand. So these are general questions which will be coming for 2 marks. Or they might ask you a full-fledged 4-mark answer about what are the different types of demand, and explain with the help of examples. So we start with that right now. Just to erase this. Right, I hope you are following. Okay, so the first type of demand is very simple. It is known as the direct demand. Okay, types of demand. Alright, so the first one is direct demand. Now, what is direct demand? Very simple. One simple word that you have to remember is final goods or consumer goods. What are consumer goods? What are final goods? The goods that are already produced and they are made to you available in the market for your direct consumption is known as direct demand. All the demand of those things which are directly available to you, it is ready made. Like for example, my cupboard, alright, which is ready made in the shop, I just have to go purchase and use. My mobile phones, my marker, my board, my duster, my books, all these are known as consumer goods, produced goods or final goods. They are straight away made to you available in a plate and it is ready for you to use. Such a commodity, the demand for such a commodity is known as direct demand, where no further processing is required, where no further production is required. They are made available to you ready to use. Your soap, your shampoos, the toys, the hand washes, the mask, all these things are your produced goods, final goods ready for consumption. All right, so that is direct demand. Next, the opposite of direct demand is indirect demand. Now, what is indirect demand? Just the opposite of direct demand. Indirect demand is that demand, is the demand for those goods which need further processing, which are not ready to consume, which are just in the state of production, they are not ready. Like, for example, wood. Okay, wood is just a raw material, it's not ready to use. I still further have to process it. I have to cut it into pieces, I have to join it with the nails, and then I will make a table which is ready to use. So the demand for wood, which is a raw material, is my indirect demand. But on the other hand, the demand for the chair or the commodity that is made out of that wood is my direct demand. So all the raw materials, like for example the cotton that I have, the thread that I have, the wood that I have, all these raw materials are yet to be produced. They are not ready to use. They are not the final goods. That is why they have indirect demand. One more question that is asked to you in exam is why the factors of production like labor. Okay, I hope you remember we have already done this, the 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So labor, why does the labor have an indirect demand? Very simple, a simple example: farmer. Okay, farmer is a laborer. With his labor he is going to grow the crops. So for me, farmer is an indirect demand. Okay, I do not have a direct demand with the farmer. I don't need the farmer, but I need the uh, the grains, the vegetables that he grows. So my demand for farmer is indirect demand, and my demand for the food, for the rice, for the wheat, for the vegetables that he is growing, that is my direct demand. All right, next one, third one, composite demand. Now, what is composite demand? Composite demand is the demand for a commodity which is going to fulfill many other wants. A basic example that I can give you is electricity. All right, one, electricity, my demand for electricity is going to help me fulfill my demand for the use of washing machine, for the use of mixer, for the use of air conditioner, for the use of fans, lights, laptops, chargers, mobile phones. So one basic commodity, one basic item, one basic thing, that is electricity, is helping me fulfill my various other demands of various other electrical appliances. So electricity demand. All right, I want you to list down many such examples of composite demand. One, I have given it to you, that is electricity. Next one, joint demand. Okay, I forgot to mention that indirect, sorry, here there is an error. Indirect demand is also known as derived demand. All right, indirect demand is also known as derived demand, just because it is not a direct demand. It is not fulfilling any of your wishes directly. All right, so it is also known as derived demand. Joint demand is also known as complementary demand. Okay, complementary means something that goes hand in hand. All right, complementary demand, something that will support the another thing. Joint demand, to explain you in very simple words with very simple examples, joint demand is that demand wherein you require two particular commodities to fulfill one demand. Very simple example: my fuel, that is my petrol, and my car. Without fuel, car is useless, and without the car, fuel is useless. So I need both of these products to go hand in hand to fulfill my one desire of owning a car or driving a car. Another example, my SIM card and my mobile phone. For me to have a mobile phone is easy, but for it to work, for me to have a number on which my friends, my colleagues can contact me, for that I need a SIM card. So mobile and SIM card go hand in hand, and they are jointly demanded. They are complementary goods. Okay. Similar example, the ink and the cartridge. Okay. The printer and the cartridge. For my printer to work, I need the ink, I need the cartridge. So these go hand in hand. If I have just the ink, if I have just the cartridge, my printer is of no use. For this to be useful, I need a printer along with that. So that is my joint demand. The last one that we can find some space here and write. All right. The last and the final type of demand is competitive. All right. Competitive demand. The word itself tells you that there is a competition. Competitive demand is when the goods can replace the other goods. For example, you have loads of brands that you have. If the Dove shampoo is not suitable for you, it doesn't suit your taste, you can anytime switch on to the shampoo from the other company. Okay, so similar products, they are competing with each other, but they are there are certain basic differences in them which is making you choose one over the other. So when you have a competition, when you can replace the goods, that particular demand is known as competitive demand. A more simpler example that I can give you is tea or coffee. Okay, you can switch. If you don't like tea, you can either time switch to coffee, or if you don't like that, you can switch to green tea. So these are the things which are competing between each other, which are having a tough competition, and you have the options to decide one. One more basic example, sugar and honey, or for example sugar and jaggery. If you feel sugar is not good for your health, you can of course anytime switch on to jaggery, or you can switch on to honey. So these products are competing with each other, and it's up to you to decide what you want. All right. So that is known as competitive demand. So these are the 5 types of demand that you have to learn. Can be asked for 2 marks, as I said, or it can be asked for a 4-mark full-fledged answer. All right. After that, in the textbook, there is a law of demand that is given to you, which we will be discussing in our next video lecture. All right. So please do like and comment and subscribe to the channel of Maharashtra College. Also, not forgetting a very important, or rather I should say a very helpful page which is there on Instagram. I'll be mentioning in the below in the description. Comics Economics. Do like and do share the page, because it is putting up a very useful images to learn economics. It will be simpler for you